Well, you're right, and that's a major issue in the funding. Governor Jindal, apparently the charges are that because of his national aspirations and wanting to stay in good graces with the Grover Norquists of the world, won't touch any new financial source. I mean, the cigarette tax that is just about the lowest in all of America, we can't raise that 50 cents or so, something that's killing our people down here to begin with. So we can't touch anything. All that is a sacred cow. And as a consequence, and of course, we're not giving colleges and universities the flexibility to raise their fees. So that's a huge hiatus, and it's something we're going to have to deal with. All I can tell you is there are a variety of ways to skin the cat and raise money. Now, from what I gather in talking to a series of legislators today, Governor Jindal's kind of come back home a little bit. I think he's kind of seen the light. And it seems like he's more available and back hands-on in the legislature, something he's advocated for several years. I know that he had the chance. This is something that your viewers aren't going to know, but there's a group called the Manhattan Institute that is the premier Republican fundraising group up in New York, the top fundraisers from all over the country in political campaigns. Now, if Jindal had his eye on national aspirations, you sure want to be there. They were going to give him an award last week, I think a week ago last Monday, give him a special award. He was to be the keystone speaker to a cross-section of the top money people in all of America in the Republican Party. The day before he cancels. They were really upset about him canceling. They were livid about it. But he canceled because, as I'm told, he felt like he was getting away from him down here. He didn't have the answers. The funding problem was a problem. And I think he kind of woke up and said, hey, maybe I'd better get back home and take care of my business. So now, and I know that story is true, but the governor will deny it. Most of his staff will deny it. And I don't mean that as a knock. I think it's a wake-up call. Jindal's
his popularity is at 37%, and I believe closer to 30%. So hopefully that woke him up.
Let me tell you this. When I was insurance commissioner, some new, young, wet behind the ears kid with long hair, who was the new secretary of the Department of Health, named Bobby Jindal, made an appointment to come see me. I didn't know who he was, and then somebody told me Mike Foster had gone ahead and made him this top appointee at 24 years old. I thought he had a great grasp of ideas. I'll tell you, when Bobby Jindal gets a hold of an issue and takes it on and pushes all of his aides aside and concentrates on it, he's as good as there is in this thing.
Look, there's no question, at least in my mind, and I've said this a million times, that I don't know of any one person that could have been as good of a governor, who had as much potential as being just an incredible governor than Bobby Jindal. I think he has wasted that opportunity. Obviously, with his popularity just being below Governor Blanco's popularity as far as I'm concerned, that tells you a lot. Keep in mind, Blanco's popularity was at a time where we were just hit by Hurricane Katrina, and that nothing was working. Nothing in the state was working. So, what does that tell you? It tells you, I believe, that people have decided that, wait a minute, this guy, better get on it, or else he's not gonna be able to do anything.
Well, I hope we've seen that change in the last year.
I hope so.
And what you're right, you hit it right on the head, Steve. What we're trying to do is get over this money hurdle. If they can just find a way to fund charter schools and fund this voucher program, I think they have to shut down the session and go home and then just get through the next year. Just bide a little time to get through the next year. Forget all this other stuff about your six gun into the restaurant and all these other ideas that, quite frankly, don't directly affect our lives. Deal with the finances and shut it down. And I think that's what a lot of legislators like to do, but it's going to take the governor to make it all work. And I think there's a little light at the end of the tunnel where he just may be saying, hey, maybe I kind of let this thing get away from me. Now can he recoup in the few weeks we have left in the legislative session?
Well, let's hope so. Again, I think he's a decent guy. I really do mean that. I think the talent is there. Everybody agrees, to that point. How he's at 30% is just a testimony that he has not delivered on what he said he was going to do, or to be who he said he was going to be. So,
on the other hand, you got to recognize the time. If we go back to how we started this conversation about the frustrations of everyone I talked to about the political system. Barack Obama's popularity is plummeting. There's not a Republican out there with good marks of any kind. The only guy that's got good marks is Bill Clinton. He's the only guy that holds his popularity. So nobody's faring very well, although we've seen Jindal's erosion over the last 6 months to year as some of these issues have gotten away from him. So I hope he's going to reconsider, for example, the whole health issue. That's not come up in this session. So very little is happening. Get through the money problems is what I hear legislators saying they want to do. Shut it down, go back and regroup, and come back to fight a better day.
Actually, speaking about the health issue, we're talking about privatizing hospitals, public hospitals. Now, there's a question as to whether or not that plan is even workable. Have you talked to the legislators about